This video was brought to you in part by the supporters of the AMTV Patreon. Thank you.
Hi there guys, it's Adam Martyn here, and welcome back to another Doctor Who review. This time it's Chapter 5 of Flux, Survivors of the Flux. Lots to talk about this time, in a similar way I think to Chapter 3, Once Upon a Time, where there was so much going on and so much to dissect. We've got multiple subplots going on, so I think, for me at least, it's easier to go through by who's doing what in this story. But at first we've got to talk about the Cliffhanger Resolve. If you remember, at the end of Chapter 4, Village of the Angels, the Doctor herself is recalled to Division and becomes a weeping angel. Such a iconic moment, something I don't think any of us ever expected, and some are calling it one of the best cliffhangers of the show, and I mean, in terms of initial reactions, it's certainly up there for me. But the Resolve, so almost as the title sequence ends, the Doctor stops being a weeping angel. She's sort of in almost like a graveyard of weeping angels before she's transported once again to this hub, which we learn is actually Division, or the Division. When the cliffhanger happened, of course this is just my speculation, I would have loved Survivors of the Flux to be a Doctor Light episode. For those who might not be familiar with the term, think of episodes like Love and Monsters, think of episodes like Blink or Turn Left, episodes where the Doctor hardly features. That's no detriment to Jodie, I just think it would have been really cool to have a Doctor Light episode here where she's still encased as an angel, and then have the main part of the plot to focus with Yaz, Dan and Jericho. Why do I think this would be a good idea? Well, they're stranded in 1901 with no Doctor to get them out, and we already learnt from the Next Time trailer last week that Dan says they've been there for 3 years, and imagine that, you've been travelling with this Doctor who's always sort of had your back, always got you home when you needed to, but now you're stuck in a century that's not yours, 100 years prior, and you're there for 3 years with seemingly no means of escape. That can do a lot of things to someone, and I think this could have been a really great opportunity to explore what that does to Dan, but particularly Yaz as well, because we saw how badly she reacted to the Doctor being away for 10 months. Bear in mind, she was in her own time then, back in Revolution of the Daleks, so I really think that could have been a point to explore. Unfortunately, they don't do this. Yaz, Dan and Jericho instead globe-trotting around. They go to Constantinople, they go to Mexico, they go to Nepal, the Great Wall of China in 1904, so they're doing it all by boat. And where are they getting this money from to do this? But they're travel hopping to find clues to find out the date and the year of when the Earth is gonna end, basically. The Doctor left Yaz a cute little message, and that was a really touching scene, actually, the message that the Doctor left, especially when she said that, you know, she misses Yaz. It's a really nice moment, shows how their bond's grown over the past 3 years, and I'm sure it keeps the Tasman stands happy too. Whilst it is nice seeing them trot around and working as this little trifecta of a team, and there's some great comedy moments as well, I do think this plot point was a little, it came across as a little underwhelming for me at the end of it, because they don't find out by the end what date it is. They've got the partial date, they've got December 5th, which, if you're a keen numbers guy like I am, you'll know that is the day that Flux Part 6 goes out, December 5th. And surprise, surprise, the year is probably going to be 2021. So broadcast day, it's just like the Big Bang all over again. So, but they didn't find the year, and they have this whole thing about, they go and see this wise man in Nepal, who stole the show, by the way. He was my favourite, that I'm teasing you. I love that little comedy skit. I wish can he save the day in part 6? Can he be the guy that saves everyone? That'd be great. But they learn from him these 3 words, which is fetch your dog, and then near the Great Wall of China, they paint the words, you know, Carvanista, Dan is here, 1904, come and fetch your human. And whilst that is cool, it feels like a rendered moot point, because when Carvanista sees it, he literally says, I don't have time travel, you're all stupid, basically. And that's it. So, whilst I don't mind the 3 of them, you know, globe-trotting around, it just ultimately felt like it came to a moot point. I mean, I'm curious to see how in Chapter 6 they're, you know, I mean, they're probably going to go through one of the doors in the Williamson tunnels. That's another thing. You see, there's so much going on. So they bump into Joseph Williamson again. who actually now takes them through his tunnels in Liverpool to like this central excavation hub, and how all the different doors are in flux. That was a nice little line, by the way. And how, you know, he's gone to all these different worlds, which is how he keeps appearing in all these different time zones that we've seen throughout Flux. I thought that was a neat idea. So I want to see where that develops in Chapter 6. But for this one, I know it's an individual episode of a whole story, which is something I've said as well. But on initial impact, the companions sort of trolling around just felt a little bit, it fell a little bit flat for me. But the acting was top notch as normal. Then you've got this whole thing going on with Bel and Vinder, of course, two side characters who are trying to find each other again. So we see Bel go to this monolithic derelict site before Carvanista hijacks the ship, because it's, you know, she's using a Lupari craft, so they're hijacking it to become part of Earth's shield. Vinder does arrive on this derelict place, only to discover that Swarm and Azure are there with multiple passenger forms, and they're extracting the life or essence of these people to be the Time Force, Power Rangers Time Force. Yeah, that sounds about right. But it's clear that they're building something. However, they find Vinder and take him into the passenger form, where then he bumps into Diane, who is Dan's friend from Liverpool, and she says she's got a score to settle, and that's it. So that's where we're leaving that clearly with Vinder anyway. Bel, on the other hand, encounters Carvanista before they're under attack, and I'll talk about that because that leads into the finale. But Bel and Vinder, I am invested in their story. I want to see them get back together. I really, really do. But I feel at the minute, this episode, for me at least, should have been the one, in my opinion, where they not shelved, but they didn't really dwell on that story for the time being. I didn't mind it so much in Village of the Angels, but here, with so much going on already, I really feel this is the one where they could have just paused it for a little bit and really devote Chapter 6, a chunk of Chapter 6 to that. So, yeah, but again, that's just my opinion. And then we get this whole thing going on with Unit. Nice to see Unit back. The Grand Serpent has returned. He's on Earth. We first see him in 1958, discussing with a general about the formation of Unit. Then we jump to 1967, where Unit is established, and the Grand Serpent has helped wean his way in, but then the general finds out he's an alien. There is a lovely little reference to the Brigadier in this. We hear a voice clip of Nicholas Courtney saying, "Lethbridge Stewart here, call into the RAF please," or something like that. Lovely little touch right there. They make a passing nod to him. And the general says, we brought in our new corporal after missing the business with the post office tower, which I believe is a cute little reference to the War Machines from all the way back in 1966. Nice when the current show refers something to 55 years ago. But I think it was a subtle enough reference that if you don't know the War Machines, it's fine. It's just described as another incident. But nice little touch there. And then we see the Grand Serpent in 1987, and we see him in 2017, where he encounters Kate Stewart, and we get this whole plot point about Unit winding down, which is nicely tied to what we saw in the 2019 New Year's special resolution, when the Doctor finds out herself trying to get in contact with Kate that Unit has wound down. And due to Kate finding out who the Grand Serpent is and a threat being made in her life, she goes dark. So it's implied she's been dark for, the past 4 years, which is dedication to the cause. But I've got to say, Gemma Redgrave as Kate Stewart absolutely sold those scenes for me. She is calm, collected. Her statements feel powerful when she delivers them. I feel, having played Kate for nearly a decade now on screen, she's really, not that she didn't before, but that time has allowed her, and especially the work she's done for Big Finish as well on audio, has allowed her to really nail who her Kate Stewart is. And it comes across so well in that little scene she has with the Grand Serpent. And I really hope she gets a lot more to do in Chapter 6. Having now seen Chapter 5, I wish they hadn't revealed Kate Stewart in the Next Time trailer, because for me, I'd hoped then that in this chapter, Chapter 5, she'd have a great presence, when really she's only in it for 1 or 2 scenes. That could have been an awesome reveal if they'd left that out of the Next Time trailer, but hey-o, it is what it is. But yeah, nice to see Kate back, and hopefully she's got a lot to do next week. And then, of course, we've got the Doctor herself, who spends pretty much the entire episode at the Division, and she encounters that woman again, who we saw in Chapter 3, who I think in those credits was titled as Orsok, or not Aswok. Oh, God, not Aswok. Oh, Jesus. She was titled as Orsok then for some reason. I don't know why. But she's revealed to actually be Tek Tayun, who, of course, was the person who found the Doctor as a child, reversed her regenerative capabilities to thus help birth Time Lord Society. So it was, nice that we're tying back to the Timeless Child arc, finally, after so long. But Tek Tayun is still around, and I love these scenes. It's Barbara Flynn, I believe, who plays Tek Tayun. And these duologues she has with Jodie, these back and forths, were some of the strongest parts of the episode. Like, the bitterness and frustration you get from Jodie, mixed with, like, the the almost cool but like manipulative edge from Tecteun was really quite something. Yeah, I like how we're gradually teasing, like, obviously this big reveal, which we're probably going to see next week, about the Doctor's lost memories. You know, Tecteun's baiting her about how many lives has she lived, the fob watch with all her memories, the fact that they sent the Flux in to basically protect themselves or protect their division's identity from the Doctor, like the whole, oh, are you scared of me? All of those scenes with the two of them talking, I thought were really good, really strong acting from the pair of them, and I'm intrigued to see where it goes next. We also have a nude, for some reason. It's never really quite explained. I mean, they are designated as a slave race in the past, so maybe she just wanted a good, obedient slave sort of race to do her bidding, but hey, it's a nude. You remember the nude, right? But of course, the big thing from this is that Doctor Who has a multiverse, people. We're doing multiverses. So the division exists outside of our known universe, in between universes. Sort of like, I guess, the Watcher in the Marvel Cinematic Universe's What If, who can see all different universes, which I think is something I said in Chapter 3 when we first saw Tecteun. I thought, oh, maybe she's like a Watcher character, and it turns out that's kind of true. But basically, they're ending our universe, Universe 1, and they're gonna gradually move into expanding into Universe 2. And she offers the Doctor a tempting ultimatum about, if you come to this universe, I'll let you have your memories back, you can find out your origins, who you really are, etc., etc. But of course the Doctor declines because that's just not her style. But as everything's building and building, Swarm and Azure arrive in the division, much to Tecteun's surprise that they shouldn't really be there. But it seems they've been harvesting all that energy from people to somehow get themselves to the division. Swarm does explain it somehow, very quickly, mind you. But hey, they're there, and they quickly dispense of Tecteun, Avengers Infinity Warring her into absolute dust, much to the Doctor's horror. And we saw in the Next Time trailer that it seems like Azure opens the watch and is going to flood the Doctor with her past memories. So that's what we're potentially getting next week. I'm really excited for that, personally. We also get a glimpse of that haunted house again. Lungbarrow, people! Lungbarrow! No, I'm only joking. Lungbarrow has not been confirmed. A Lungbarrow theory, if you want to know what Lungbarrow is, just go on the Doctor Who wiki or something and have a look. It's too convoluted to explain in this video. But yeah, we might be getting a Lungbarrow. So with this cliffhanger then, there is a lot going on. Obviously, I've already touched upon what's going on at the division. Tecteun has gone, and the Doctor's at Swarm and Azure's mercy. With the companions, they're in the Williamson tunnels with Joseph Williamson himself. But we learn that some Tyrants are coming to invade. They're attacking the Lupari shield. They're coming after Bel and Carvanista. They've bust into the Williamson tunnels. They're in alliance with the Grand Serpent, who seemingly orchestrated this with them, ordering Earth's missiles to fire inwards on its planet at key cities. So, that's a big battle because, as mentioned earlier in the episode, everyone's fighting for a planet to take over. So this is the Grand Serpent, the Sontarans, and seemingly everyone's coming in, because in the Next Time trailer, we see Cybermen, we see Daleks, who knows what else, who else even is going to arrive here. I think this could be a big chance for like cameos or things popping up. Kate Stewart's leading the human resistance against Sontaran occupation, which in itself sounds badass, and I really hope we get a lot of Kate Stewart, maybe even an Osgood cameo. Those two are like the, Tweedledum and Tweedledee in the sense that they're always together. It'd be great to see her. And obviously with the Doctor, as mentioned, you see Azure open the fob watch, so is that we're finally going to learn more about these origins, the haunted house sort of thing, maybe the Doctor's origins from being a child. They've got a lot to explain in an hour, that's all I'm going to say. I know a lot of people are saying they're a bit worried that everything's not going to be explained in time. I'm slightly on edge about it myself, but I'm just going to watch it next week, hopefully enjoy it for what it is, and then draw my conclusions from there. But yes, there is a lot to tie up, and I really hope that they stick the landing. All in all, I did like many elements of this episode. The only thing for me is this, out of all of them, again, for me personally, felt like it was very overstuffed and was trying to do so much at once that it didn't lose me, but it did feel like some elements didn't get maybe the proper attention they deserved. As I said, I really would have wanted to see more of how the companions, I guess, reacted or how they adapted to being stuck in a foreign time for a long time as well, and how that might have changed them as people. They all still seem relatively the same, particularly Yaz and Dan, so I thought that would have been nice to explore. With Unit, I know everyone's crying about the Unit dating thing, because the history, the timeline of Unit date-wise has always been a bit skew-with, and this episode makes no attempt to heal that. If anything, it makes it more complicated. And to be honest, if I'm ever going to talk about Unit dating, that'll probably be saved for a live stream or a video in itself, so maybe watch this space. But it was nice to see the unit stuff. Again, with Bel and Vinder, I really think those few minutes could have been diverted or like, you know, saved or dedicated to something else. I feel maybe their plot, nothing against them, but I feel their plot was maybe the one that could have been pushed to next week. Like, focus on unit, focus on what the companions are doing, focus on obviously the Doctor. But yeah, I my hopes of a Doctor Light episode were dashed, but hey, that's okay. I did like a lot of the acting from all those involved, everything they got, particularly Jodie Whittaker and Barbara Flynn in their scenes in The Division, I thought was stellar. So lots to like about this episode, but I'd probably say out of the 5 we've had so far, this is the one I was least enamored with. Not that I didn't like it, but it's the one that gave me the less like wow by the end of it. We're seeing a trend, I think, with the odd numbered chapters have a lot going on in them, and then the even ones are not more straightforward, but they're more center specific. So, you know, War of the Sontarans was about the Sontarans in the Crimean, and then chapter 4 was more about the angels in that village in 1967, whereas the Halloween Apocalypse, Once Upon a Time, Survivors of the Flux are all over the place. We're jumping around. I didn't mind the title cards either, or like, you know, when they kept flashing the year on the screen. I didn't mind that. I personally, I mean, I'm a numbers guy, I like numbers, but I didn't mind those. I know some people don't like it when it does that, but hey, when you're jumping around so often as this episode is, maybe it was a good thing. But that's my thoughts on Survivors of the Flux. Let me know what you thought. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Keep it civil. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. Also, just a note, I'll be talking about this episode, Chapter 5, more in depth on the Who Knew podcast. Lovely Josh over there is having a guest on his show each week to talk about each chapter of Flux, and I'll be there to talk about Chapter 5. If you're watching this video the day it's come out, the podcast won't be available for a few days probably, but if you're watching this later, it should be available now on places like Spotify and on YouTube. I've been Adam Martyn from AMTV. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.